Hello, and welcome to The Renaissance Report, a freelance podcast series talking with educators and experts from everywhere on the need to improve climate, culture, and morale in K through 12 schools today, and how ideas from the Jostens Renaissance effort can help schools get there. Listen in as our guests discuss their experiences and ideas that have helped their schools achieve goals and just become places that people want to go to, not just have to go to. It's possible, and any school can achieve it. Our guest in this episode is Eric Underhill. Eric is the principal at Carl Sandburg Middle School in Alexandria, Virginia, suburban Washington, D.C. In particular for this episode, again, Eric is a middle school principal. So what about Renaissance ideas at that particular level? And also, he and his school have gone all in on Renaissance ideas just in the past school year, the 2024-2025 school year, and it has really made a difference in the life and health of their school. Eric will give us the background, why they decided to do this, ideas they've used, and other inspiration. Get ready to take some notes. You're going to be learning some stuff from Eric, but first off, let's meet him. Well, Eric, first of all, we appreciate you taking time to join us here on the Renaissance Report podcast. Thank you for the time today.
Very happy to be here, Scott. Very happy to be here.
Now, we're going to cover a lot of stuff in this chat. In particular, a little later on, two things we're going to kind of hone on, if you will. You are administrator of a middle school, and so we want to talk about Renaissance ideas, maybe especially at the middle school level and how they work. And also, your group is relatively new to this. You've sort of jumped on Renaissance ideas somewhat recently, like first year. And so we want to talk about that too, because I'm sure we've got some folks kind of checking us out thinking, yeah, that sounds really great. How do we get started? What happens in the first year? We're going to talk more about that a little later on. First off, let's get some background information, all right? First off, tell us something about yourself. What do you teach? I know you're an administrator now, so what is your background? And also about your school. Your school is Carl Sandburg Middle School in Alexandria, Virginia. That's suburban D.C. So maybe tell us, sort of the makeup and whatever of your particular school. But first, let's start with you. Tell us something about yourself, please.
All right. Well, thanks, Scott, for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here with you. My name is Eric Underhill. I'm the proud principal here at Carl Sandburg Middle School. I've been in education for 18 years, all in Northern Virginia, between Arlington and Stafford County. I was a high school social studies teacher and a middle school social studies teacher. I did my assistant principalship in Arlington, and then I found my way to a principalship in Stafford County and then here in Fairfax. And I'm all about our kids. Middle school is where it's at. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of excitement in middle school. And I can't think of a better place to be. Carl Sandburg is a very unique and diverse place. I think our history as a former high school with a very supportive community that has been here for a very long time is very part of our everyday fabric. As you said, we're just right outside the heart of DC, down here in historic Mount Vernon's area, historic Mount Vernon area. And we've got a great diverse community that's very supportive, but it's also multi-generational families that are here. And so we're seeing a lot of legacy that's here, and that rich history and cultural diversity is what makes Sandburg a very special place.
Well, I tell you what, Eric, I'm a history guy. I love history. I've never been to Mount Vernon, which is like slap me, all right? That's just like how
down the road, Scott. So come visit and we can go.
I was going to say, how close that's George Washington's home. How close are you to Mount Vernon?
About 1.5 miles to 2 miles. It's right down the George Washington Parkway. So it's a, like I said, it's a great community. If you go down to the end of the street here, you've got Mount Vernon down the street. You can actually see across the Potomac to Fort Washington. And if you look north, you'll see all of the monuments on the National Mall.
Oh man, I've got to come visit. Okay.
Location right here.
Mark me down sometime. All right. We got to come visit. Now, you kind of mentioned this a minute ago. When we were communicating to set up this chat, I noticed in your email signature, that you had stuff in English and Spanish. And I thought, okay, this must be a very diverse school. Talk about that. I mean, the kids and the families, whatever, that are part of your school. I'm from Central PA. Frankly, not very diverse. Okay. Tell us about that background. I mean, how diverse? Where are these people coming from?
So we're a very diverse community. We've got many students who are coming from all different places around the world. We are, like we said, in the nation's capital, and so about 25% of our students are English learners. We have no real majority here at Sandburg. It is just split out very differently. 40% of our students are white, 30% of our students are Black, and then our Hispanic and other Asian and other students from other areas make up the rest of our demographic profile. But it is our diversity that makes us absolutely an awesome place. And so when we think about cultural history, we have Gum Springs community, which is the first historically Black community that was incorporated here in Virginia, and it's right down the street. And we have families that have been here for a very long time. Multi-generations have come through our community, through our schools, and we're very proud of that rich, diverse history. You mentioned Spanish. We're seeing an increase in our students and families who are Spanish speaking. I myself learned Spanish through school since second grade. And so we use a lot of communication tools here at Sandburg to communicate with our wider community, whether you speak Urdu or Pashto, Amharic, Spanish, French. We use a lot of different communication tools to communicate with our families and our caregivers of our students. That allows us to bridge our school and family partnerships in a different and unique way. So we use those tools via text message, email, on our website, which can be translated into multiple languages to get that partnership going and then to sustain that partnership. We also offer classes for our parents to engage in multilingual format. And whether that is you are new to Virginia, new to the United States, and you want to know about the schooling system and how are we getting your students ready for college and career readiness, all of those things are part of some of the programming that we do for our diverse community here at Sandburg. And like I said, it is what makes us a very unique place.
Let me ask this question. Okay. I've been a supporter of Renaissance for over 20 years in a number of different places. And occasionally I'll encounter somebody, it's more like they come up with reasons or excuses why they can't do something. And I would hear or maybe envision some people saying, well, boy, that school is so diverse. Well, this group might, Renaissance is cool with them, but no, not this group over here. And I don't know about this group over here. How would you respond to that? Because you clearly have many different types of folks in your school. Is that baloney? I think it's baloney. You tell me. What do you think about that?
When you think about the Jostens Renaissance formula, right, you've got respect, recognition, reward, reinforcement, and relationships. Those can be found in any school. And I'll say that I'm completing my second calendar year here at Sandburg. I started in the middle of the school year in January 2023 and instantly fell in love with our school, our students, our community. But wanted to really dig into what did it mean to be a Sandburg Panther, and I started there, and really kind of took those first 6 months to interact with our students, build those relationships, find opportunities to reward our students, thinking about where are we recognizing and the work and contributions that everyone is bringing together, how are we reinforcing that, and how are we supporting respect among one another, among the community, and finding respect for our cultural histories. That can be done in any school, whether you are, in, like you said, in the middle of Pennsylvania or you're here in DC. It can be done anywhere. Renaissance, I've seen done in multiple different places in my career and fell very much in love with that formula because it really speaks to the fabric of what we do each and every day as educators. And when I was here at Sandburg, and I started to ask myself that question, what does it mean to be a Sandburg Panther? I started to ask our students. And I said, what does this mean? Asked our community, what does this mean? And as we think about leaders and we're thinking about the vision and mission that we have for the school, it's important that we're bringing that together with the various stakeholders and the voices that we are working with and who we are serving, which is our kids. And so we worked with the Jostens team on that initial branding piece to ask that essential question. What does it mean to be a Sandburg Panther? And we got the survey results back, and they were very wide, and there wasn't a clear majority on being a Sandburg Panther means X, being a Sandburg Panther means Y. There was a lot of positive words there, strong words there. It meant to be bold. We were enthusiastic. We were driven. We were achievers. We were successful. All positive things. But we wanted to figure out what was a way that we could rally everyone around one singular theme, and also thinking about how can we take that theme, given that we are a diverse community, and allow for that to be something where I'm connecting with that with my own identity, or someone else is connecting with their own identity. And throughout that process, which is where we started asking ourselves that first question, what does it mean to be a Sandburg Panther? Listening to the voices of our staff, our students, and our community, we came up with, we are Panthers in pursuit. Now, I say that every day to our kids. I know, right? We have a big statue in the front of the school. It's a big Black Panther. And it's like, he's on the prowl. He's in pursuit of something. What is it? And so when I think about our students and what we want for them as a faculty, what we want for them as a community, what they want for themselves, they might be slightly different, but they all go in one direction. We want our kids to achieve absolute excellence in everything that they do, whatever pathway they are going on. And so when we came up with Panthers in Pursuit, it was very intentional to sound like an incomplete phrase. As a school, we are Panthers in pursuit of excellence and achievement. And that will look different for every single student. If I am a violinist in the orchestra for the first time, might want to be the best violinist that I want to be. I could be an artist taking my first art class or second art class, and I want to be the best artist that I can be. I'm working in science, and I'm really liking working with some of the experiments that we're doing. I want to be a scientist when I'm done. We have students that's their track, and so they can be in pursuit of that as well. So we found a way to make our unifier, Panthers in Pursuit, something that they can individually connect to. And as a whole, we can rally behind one banner of unity.
Eric, I absolutely love that. That is great. That question is probably my favorite Renaissance question. I've used it a number of times over a bunch of years. What does it mean to be a tiger? What does it mean to be a ram? Now, I don't know. My experience normally is when I've asked students that question, the response I almost always get is, I don't know. I don't know. That's the response I get. Is that when you talked about it a couple minutes ago, when you started doing the surveying and asking, is that the response you got? I don't know what it is. I mean, what did kids immediately tell you?
We got a lot of responses. When we initially put this out, we had the kids do it during their daily advisory period. They took the survey. We got 700 responses. And it was amazing because it was a large effort done between our students, our staff, and our community, and just to see the responses. And there were common themes there. We were really looking for, is there one overarching theme? But we got a lot of positive things that our kids are proud of, that our community was proud of. And that was very energizing for everybody at the table in that community that worked on that last summer. And we were not only energized by it, but it really did hone our focus of everything that we were doing was in that pursuit of excellence. And what does that look like? So when our theater department took to the stage for a production, when they did Guys and Dolls, they were in pursuit of excellence on the stage, having a phenomenal performance. When our cross country runners had their first season last year for FCPS Sports, they were in pursuit of some winning and some personal bests throughout, whether they were first, fifth, ninth, whatever it was. The kids always wanted just to do better. We had spring track for the first time, and I worked with a student, and her goal was to be in the top 10 in the county for girl shot put. And that was her being in pursuit of, that's what I wanted to be proud of, because she worked so hard to do it. And that was something that you got to see in action every single day here at Sandburg, was our Panthers being in pursuit of whatever that excellence was that they had defined, not only for themselves, but as we define that as a school community.
All right, Eric, let's turn the clock back, I don't know, a couple of years. I suppose when you first came to Sandburg, from what you were talking about a few minutes ago, I mean, do you know what were things like at the school before you started doing some of these things? I mean, I've heard lots of words over the years, dysfunctional, toxic, not good words. Now, maybe that's not Sandburg, but what was school like before you and your group started doing some things in the Renaissance realm?
So Sandburg is a great place. It has always been a great place. It will continue to be a great place. And there are always challenges in middle school. There's always challenges coming into a new school and looking at things. And there were a lot of things that were being done, and it seemed to be that things were being done in parallel fashion. So we've got this, and this going on. And we might have 4 different initiatives going on, but there wasn't anything that unified them. And that seemed to be something that was going on in the building. A lot of great work is going on at Sandburg and had been going on at Sandburg, but it almost seemed like they were doing something here, then something here, then something here, and it didn't necessarily cross or connect. And so when we started thinking about and looking at all the different affinity groups that we had, the clubs and activities that we had, the focus for school improvement that we had, tying that together was really important so that we could see those connections of how our student groups and our student activities are supporting our academic achievement and what our goals are as a school. How does our community-facing events support us as a school? And certainly bouncing back, coming in after the pandemic, and as students had returned to learning in person, that was also a challenge, right? And so we're all thinking about, what does this post-COVID environment look like for students, and how are we supporting them in the best way possible? And thinking about unifying them in one direction was a very key part of the vision that I had as a new principal when I came here in 2023. And so, like I said, lots of great things were happening. They had PBIS, we had student recognition. And I looked at those things and said, these are all great foundational things that we have in place. How can we expand them? How can we bring them together so that it's a cohesive program across the building for the test of time? And so they had done, for example, celebrating staff through the Positivity Award, and that trophy would get handed from one person to another. And that grew into Staffalty of the Quarter first year, which became Staffalty of the Month, which is what we're currently doing. We had Students of the Quarter, which had become Students of the Month. And so for us, it was about expanding that recognition and that reward piece in a way that captured more of our staffalty and our students, because that's important. Seeing that recognition in place builds that relationship between one another, builds that recognition, builds those rewards in place, and ultimately builds a school that is founded upon relationships and respect. And that was something that we wanted to make sure that we were bolstering, especially given our diverse community, that everyone was being recognized and everyone had an opportunity to see themselves as part of this fabric that we are weaving together each and every day. So I always say that we're telling a story, and that every single person, whether you are a bus driver, a student, a cafeteria worker, a teacher, an assistant in the building, every single person here at Sandburg is part of that story. And it's really important that we see ourselves as part of that fabric. And so by taking what the school had been doing, looking through it at those things through the Renaissance lens, allowed us to really think about how each one of those things could become part of our Panthers in Pursuit, how each one of those things could be a unifier for our community. And that was really important for us.
All right, Eric, you mentioned the dirty word pandemic. Thankfully, that's in the rearview mirror, I hope. But I've had a chance doing this series and some other things all over the country. It affected different areas differently. Some things it really messed up. I don't know, at your particular school, did the pandemic really dig a hole that you're sort of digging out of, if you will, right now? Or maybe the pandemic didn't affect your school that much. I mean, how did that go for you folks?
I think the pandemic impacted everybody in some way, shape, or form. And we know it did. The data tells us that it has. And I think bringing back school spirit, connectivity was really important. How we are forming relationships with one another is really important. And so when we think about the impact of the pandemic, one of the things that we saw here at Sandburg was a very sharp increase in chronic absenteeism. And we know that students being in school every day has a positive correlation between student success and achievement and that attendance rate. And we really chose to focus there. We wanted kids to come to school. We wanted them to have a reason to come to school, that school was a great place, and that they were going to find themselves being celebrated and recognized here at school. And so we really did focus on that aspect of it. And across the school year last year, we saw, under our work with Renaissance and unifying things together, we had done a lot of structural changes during my first year as principal here at Sandburg. We had moved from a junior high school model where kids weren't identified, and by an identifier, for example, we use houses. So if you think about Harry Potter and the 4 houses they have, we have 5 houses at 7th grade and 5 houses at 8th grade. Something that is very unique about our school is that students are coming into us from 6th grade, being part of the elementary school where they have 1 teacher each day. So coming to middle school, having 7 different teachers and figuring out how to navigate a large school of 1,400 plus is a big thing. So when we moved to a housed model of interdisciplinary instruction, that really was designed with our students in mind. It was also a cornerstone of bringing these smaller communities together that were diverse, that were academically, all programs were offered on each house. So you had a heterogeneous house, but it was really there as a unifier, that if I was on the Pathfinders team, this is what I was doing. If I was on an Ascenders team, this is what I was doing. And we saw that come through with some of the rallies we did last year, where we had house points and the kids would play games and they would compete, all in fun, but also to build that community and that sense of we're all in this together. There's fun things to do at school, and this is what the outcome is going to be. And we did that while celebrating not only our student groups, like fine and performing arts, our students who were fluent speakers, our students who were National Honor Society, our students who were in affinity leadership groups like our divas and our glitter group, our boys MVP group. We really just wanted to celebrate, but this is a way that we were able to do that. And so we looked at the pandemic as an opportunity, and the years coming out of it as an opportunity of how are we going to get our students to where they need to be, where they deserve to be, and what can we do to help them support them on that paradigm. And really looked at that Renaissance formula and saying, we need to do each part of the formula to get us to where we want to be. Now, what did that lead to? We saw increased attendance. So we saw a decrease in our chronic absenteeism rate across the school year. Although it was not where we wanted to end at the end of the school year at 19%, it was better than what it had been the previous year at over 25. This year, right now, we are sitting at 9%. And we're seeing all of the things that we were doing have that effect this year, more so this year than maybe last year, because we were just starting on our journey. But we started with houses, we started with a rally the first day of school, we started with these things because it was important for our kids, and it really sent a different message of what the schooling experience was going to be. And so we've got a lot more excitement in the building this year than I would definitely say than last year. And I'm looking forward to seeing that blossom and grow across the rest of the year and the years to come.
With the houses idea, Eric, I think I just want to say Gryffindor, with the talking hat. Now, you guys don't have like a Slytherin type house, do you? No.
Do not. So our 7th grade houses and are themed around exploration. One of the things in middle school that we believe in is that students have the opportunity to explore and figure out who they're going to be as a student. What is it that they might want to do as we start those college and career readiness conversations with them. And so we have the Pathfinders, the Adventurers, the Voyagers, the Trailblazers, and the Dominators at 7th grade. So each one of those houses is very appropriately named for that theme. Our 8th graders, as we start thinking about what they're going to do in high school, as they start planning that 4-year plan for their high school journey, really thinking about what's next. So that idea of inspiration. They are the vanguards, the ascenders, the innovators, the wanderers, and the navigators. And they really wanted to rally around that idea of not only inspiration, but also guiding that purpose and that journey forward into what are the next 4 years going to look like, and how does what I do right now impact my trajectory and where I'm going to go later. And so we really did hone in on specific themes that we wanted to see in that house model, as that supported our school's mission and vision.
Well, let's see. I think I want to be a wanderer. That sounds pretty cool. I think I'd like to be in that particular house. That sounds neat. We'll get back to more insights with Principal Eric Underhill from Carl Sandburg Middle School in Alexandria, Virginia, coming up in just a moment. Eric will talk about reactions to various things they've done in their school. Also, going to Renaissance rallies, that's a big, big help. And at the middle school level, how much student involvement? Well, at Sandburg, it's quite a bit. And so Eric is going to share those stories when we come back in just a bit. Now, as we record this episode in March of 2025, the Jostens Renaissance Global Conference for this summer is setting all kinds of records. It is amazing. People are signing up for JRGC at a record pace. Again, as we record this episode at the very beginning of March 2025, already 1,000 people have registered for this event. That is by far more than they've ever had at this stage of a school year. This year's JRGC will be held in suburban San Diego, California, June 28 to 30. And it promises to be an amazing event at a brand new venue. Literally, this building, apparently, we're told, is brand new. And maybe we're kind of breaking it in, so to speak. Capacity 2,200, but already as we're recording this episode, they're already at about half capacity. It has never been this much this soon before. So if you're interested, like, what is this global conference thing? Or if you're thinking, we are seriously running out of time, we are going to sell out on this event once again this year, even though it's a much higher capacity. Last year, this sold out in May. This year, maybe April? We'll have to wait and see. You can get all the information about the Jostens Renaissance Global Conference on the website, jostensrenaissance.com. Look for the events tab there. JRGC is the first thing that gets mentioned. This is 3 days and 2 nights of energy, ideas, inspiration, collaboration from educators. Well, we do call it a global conference, so educators literally from anywhere. And some schools bring students, and they are excited to be there to gain ideas to improve their own school. All the information is on the website. Registration, of course, extra for hotel and for transportation. Depends a lot where you're coming from, of course. All the information on the website. But here's the thing. You better not wait to sign up. Again, at this juncture in early March, it's already half full. That has never happened before. And we're highly expecting the other half to fill in maybe literally by April. And once they hit capacity, that's it. Can't take any more. So check out the information. This is an amazing, amazing conference. All the people that get together, fun nights, of course, there, no doubt about that, and a lot to learn and experience. Check out the information, jostensrenaissance.com. Click on the events tab. Look for the information on JRGC. Probably go ahead and register. You do not have to pay your registration right away. You do need to do it by May 23rd. But just get your foot in the door and register so you do not miss out on this totally amazing event, JRGC 2025. Now let's get back to our conversation with guest Eric Underhill here on the Renaissance Report. All right, now here's a question. You've been doing some stuff now for essentially a year, all right, or more. What's the reaction been? What's the reaction been from kids? But especially, I'm curious, what's the reaction been from adults? Because over a bunch of years, occasionally I'll hit a situation of adults thinking, well, this is a gimmick. This is the latest gimmick, and it's not going to work. And why are we doing this? So, what's the reaction been from kids, but also maybe adults? How have they reacted to the various things that you've been doing so far?
So I would say like with anything, with any change, it takes time. And leading with the why, and sometimes people don't necessarily see all of it. They've got to see it in action. And so when we started out slow. We moved to houses. We got positive feedback on that. We had changed how we were doing some of the student recognition. We got positive feedback on that, moving from quarterly to monthly. We had more opportunities for staff recognition. We got positive feedback on that. But it was really a change year for us. We really wanted our first year, the 23-24 school year, was the year to put the structural components in place. And so when we thought about intentionally changing student recognition, staff recognition, adding in this opportunity for pep rallies and celebration, what did that look like? It was a slow, intentional journey. And so we started with the things that were easy to do, and then we thought really intently on when we do our first school rally, what would that look like? What would be encompassed in it? And the students at first were, okay, we're here, we're doing this, but the excitement grew, and that was important. When they got to see what we were doing, there was more excitement as they went. And so when we asked them to, their first games were very simple. It was small groups of kids that would come up to the stage, and we had 2 dice and a hula hoop. And I remember we had to find them all in different colors. And it was, we're cheering for our classmates who are playing this game to roll doubles. Then it was roll a sum of odd numbers, a sum of even numbers. We even had the staff do it. And it was just wonderful to see, even though we started small, just to see the fact that points were going up on the board, that we were having some fun in school and we were doing this. And that's where we started. And then we started in that rally to also recognize by the students standing up to be to be recognized and acknowledged by their peers for having performed at the most recent musical concert, having had their art displayed at the Pyramid Art Show, having had their art displayed at Ronald Reagan National Airport. Things that we knew that the kids had done were easy to recognize, and that's where they started to see some of that celebration in there. And that really helped, because last year at the end of the year, on the last 3 days of school, we did for the first time 8th grade promotion. We did it like a Ren rally. It was a lot of fun. There was music. We had the kids come in. They were recognized by groups. We even recognized our parents. And so we had families stand up. If this was your first middle schooler to finish middle schooler that's going on to high school, is this your last middle schooler that is going on to high school? Are you a military family? We got the audience involved, and it sent a really good tone. And it was like, this is what this is meant to look like. This is a great end of the school year where we got to build in that positivity, but we got to see some of those Renaissance elements through all the programming across the year. And that was amazing. And so when we closed out last year, there was a lot of energy and positivity about it, that when we started this year, we were able to start with a different set of positivity with the kids and the staff. And there's a lot of energy. And so we're working through different ideas through the Renaissance resources this year. We put a few ideas out there that we've been sharing. We've used the green room. We have used the resources that are there. And it's amazing to see just how that's connecting with the work that we're doing on a daily basis.
Eric, it sounds like you're having fun.
We are having fun.
Yes.
We are having fun.
I keep seeing more stories still. Teachers that are stressed, they're burned out, they're leaving the profession, or young people that don't want to go into the profession of teaching. It sounds like what you're doing, I mean, again, a staffalty reaction, I guess. It sounds like you're all having a great time at work. Talk about that if you would.
So we do. I mean, it's hard work. Anyone in education knows the work that we're doing is impactful, it's transformative, but it is very hard. We can all have our challenging days. But I think it's important when we think about what are the things that we can do to enjoy our day with our students and one another. a little bit more. So we do on Teacher Tuesdays, we do Coffee Tuesdays. That's something that the admin team does for the faculty here every Tuesday. And just a gesture that we do. Like, we appreciate you. Like, we know it's hard each and every day, and every day brings challenges, but every day in those challenges come great rewards. There's learning lessons that happens, there's excitement that happens. And so when we think about the work that we do each day, we focus on the positive, we focus on the reward aspects. I greet the kids in the morning with a boombox and a microphone, and we are doing upbeat songs for the day just to get that energy flowing in the building. And I will bring that around during transitions, and have it playing in the hallway. Whether you're coming in off the bus or you're going to get to breakfast in the cafeteria or going right to your first class of the day, here's music playing in the hallway. We've got folks out in front of their classrooms with their Blue Panther paws on Fridays. And again, that's something new that we started this year. So that's just getting into having people do it. But every week I see more and more folks with those Blue Panther paws out on High Five Fridays. And we're starting something new and we're keeping that journey going. So as we think about things that we're looking forward to, I think that's part of the journey that we're on right now.
All right, now again, you're a middle school. All right, now
Yep.
we know Renaissance works at any level, elementary school, middle school, high school. Your kids, of course, are not elementary anymore. No, they're not to the high school level yet. Talk about this particular age group and maybe how Renaissance type ideas and activities resonate maybe with this particular age group as opposed to those other ones I just mentioned. How does it resonate with them?
So Renaissance, I think, like when we think about the formula and what's in it and things that we can do, I think you're going to find any age group of kids that can do this. Middle school is a very special place. I love middle school. I'm a giant middle schooler inside. And our kids have responded really well to it. Very proud of them. We recently had a group of kids go to a local rally held at South County High School, and we sent 20 students. And they came back with a myriad of ideas that they're like, we want to plan our next pep rally. We want to do this and this. I'm like, I love the energy, guys. I'm going to let you all do it. We're going to do it together and it's going to be great. But they are so invested in being part of the change that we're doing here at school. It's amazing. So our kids lead morning announcements. They are doing a lot of things around the building for Renaissance. They are the ones with the cart on Fridays with the blue paws, handing them out to staff. They're doing that work, and it's great to see. And so, really proud of them. It can be done in a middle school setting, and it is just about finding that time and that place, and some of those ambassador students that are willing to own that as part of their student leadership and letting them run with it. They've got the ideas, they know what they want to see, they know what they want to do, and just helping them and facilitate that for them is really great. And that's what we're looking forward to doing this year. But it is something that we can do at a middle school. There are some things that I had seen done during my time in Stafford Public Schools, at North Stafford High School, which was a Jostens Platinum School. And they did amazing work. And we took some of the things that they were doing and brought it to Shirley High Middle School in Stafford. And we started to see some of those things change. So we know it can work in middle schools. I've taken some of those ideas and brought them here to Sandburg. And so we just did our Attitude of Gratitude wall. And so down the front wall, the hallway of the school, you'll see the little placards that are there that the kids have written, either to staff members or to themselves. And it's great to read some of them because it was just their way of putting their stamp on something that they were proud of. You'll walk around the building and you're going to see the branding that's up about our students being kind and them being compassionate, them being responsible, and them being in pursuit of excellence. And you'll see going with that the Students of the Month banners. You will see them rallying behind them and seeing who's on the list and being very proud of one another. Same thing with honor roll and things that we have there, but we're seeing a lot of that recognition come out, and it's really impacting what we're doing. Perfect attendance awards, improvement awards, and just highlighting and elevating all of that work are all things that is going on in every single middle school across the country. It's really simple to translate and just put it into that formula and say, what are we missing? where do we need to strengthen, and where are we really already finding the strengths that we have and how do we leverage those. And so one of the things that makes Sandburg really special is that focus on relationships between students to students, students, the community, staff, the community, staff and students, staff and staff. That focus on relationships is really important. And it has been a cornerstone of this school long before I got here. And so knowing that was a strength was how are we reinforcing that? How are we rewarding that? How are we recognizing that? And putting those things in place so that we can have that on a larger scale. And so that's really the journey that we're on. So it is definitely something that can be done in a middle school setting.
All right, now a follow-up of sorts. All right, again, middle school is what we're talking about here. How much are whoever your kids that are really involved with the effort and so on, how much decision making or leadership do they get to do as opposed to maybe, okay, the adults are grouping here, we're going to do this, this, and this, and so on. I'm just wondering how much the kids, now this is the middle school level, how much the kids are maybe involved in some of the decision making about the things happening at their school. How does that work in your building?
So that is a journey. When we started this journey, there was a small group of us that were familiar with Renaissance. And we had actually gone to the all-in rally in Hampton, Virginia, came back with some ideas and said, let's start this. We had a small group of about maybe 5 or 6 kids that we would bounce ideas off of. But they really looked to us to organize some of that work for them last year to get that off the ground. Where we started to see the kids take ownership was when we had done the culminating event for last year for 8th grade promotion. They did all of it. It was great. There was a group of kids from our Glitter and Divas group. They were the MCs. They did the slide deck. They had ran the entire ceremony for the 8th grade. And it really felt like that perfect timing for them to take hold of something. And so we have a different set of students this year, and they just went to their Ren rally at South County High School, came back, and they are just now thinking about what are we doing next? How are we doing X and Y? And really our roles is really to facilitate that and give them space. And so we have a few faculty advisors that are really invested in this work, and they're going to help guide and steer the students, make sure that they have the resources that they need to do to get these things off the ground, but also to think about feasibility and look at ideas and say what is manageable and what we would like to do. And I think that's really what middle schoolers want from us. They really want to not only take hold and lead something, but they're also going to need us to guide them so that they also can see from point A to point B, how are we getting there? And so really leveraging our staff in a way that supports the students, but also encourages them and teaches them some of those concrete skills when they're organizing and leading something. Lots of times a middle school will have a great idea. I want to do this. And then that is the great idea. That is the end product. And how are we going to get there? And that's where they really need that guidance. And so when we think about this in intentional steps, laying that out with them and giving them the opportunity to have that voice in that process and saying, what can we own? What are we doing? And looking at it like any project we do in middle school, what do we need to do by here? What do we need to do by here? What do we need to do by here? So that they can see their success and growth across that project, but also at the time that it's going to come for implementation, that's going to be implemented with success for them.
That's perfect. That's absolutely awesome. Now, let's mention you and I were chatting here, recorded in late November 2024. You just mentioned a minute ago, recently, as we're doing this, your group went to a Renaissance rally at a nearby school. Folks, we would love to do Renaissance rallies everywhere on a regional basis, of course. Our friend Dr. Phil Campbell, I believe, was the host for that event. I swear, Phil doesn't sleep. I mean, he's everywhere. He's incredible. But am I correct? Is that the first time you've gone to one of these type rallies, like a regional event? And how'd it go? I mean, what was your group's reaction to that?
So last year, the faculty advisors, we went to the Red Rally that was held in Hampton, Virginia to get some ideas. And we really wanted to see one in action so that we could see what was feasible, what did we need, because we had a lot of questions and said, I've seen this done in other places, but let's go and see where it is. We brought back those ideas. And this year, when this was a conversation I had with our rep, Jason Baranowski, of we need another local event, Jason. We need another local event. And I know that he worked with Phil and we got an event here in Fairfax County, and it was amazing. And he and I had a phone call, and he says, we're going to get the Sandburg Panthers to go. And I'm like, that is it. We're all in. Let's go. And got them to go, and they came back energized. And some of our 8th grade students who were here last year for 7th grade, like, oh, we played that game before. We played this game before. And they're like, we get it now. And that meant that meant the world, that they got to see what it was that we were trying to do and how all of this fits together. And I'm so excited that they had that experience to go and participate in one, because it gave them some context of what we aspire to do and where are we right now and what is it that they can do. And so they came back energized with a whole list of event ideas, but also ways that they could also recognize. And they understood a lot of the things that we were trying to move us in that direction, and they are very much on board. And so to see 20 students come back and say, we're going to get our friends on board, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and have them approach me in the hallway in the morning and say, Mr. Hunter, what about this idea? And can we do this idea? It's refreshing, it's energizing, and it is something that just touches my heart each and every day, because we have outstanding kids. They're doing amazing things, and it's great to pass the torch to the leadership to our kids and see what's next and what is it that they want to do. And so we did give them a little bit of a blank palette to throw those ideas down on paper, see what those things are, and then work with them on next steps of what is this going to look like when we come back in January? What is this going to look like in March? What is this going to look like in May? And then what is this going to look like at the end of the year in June?
Sounds like a great plan. All right, now, Eric, you're an administrator, and I've worked with administrators for many years, and it seems to always, what's the proof? All right, now, earlier in our chat, you mentioned this a little bit, but things, I don't know if you have that at hand, things like statistics and trends and so on, that yes, doing this type of stuff that we've talked about, Renaissance, different ideas, really does work and really changes the game. Proof. Do you have any numbers maybe that you can toss at us, please?
So, like I said, we had done a lot of structural changes, moving to our house model, working on ensuring that we have pieces of that Renaissance formula in place last year, and we saw amazing results. It is always a work in progress. We are still working towards our academic goals for school improvement this year, but we saw a decrease in our chronic absenteeism from the mid 20s to the upper teens at the end of the year. So we ended the year at about 19.4%, which was great. It was a great progress for the year. And we saw that decrease. We saw behavioral referrals decrease across the school year, across each of our subgroups. We saw our out of school suspension decrease across the school year, across subgroups. In some places, for academically disadvantaged students with disabilities and our Black students, as much as 50%. And so we know it works. We got to see it in action. And when the students started to buy into it a little bit more, we saw that positivity come out. Academically, we saw our math scores go up in each of our subgroups in a positive direction, in all subgroups in mathematics and in science. Our special education students increased their proficiency by 15% in science, by 9.9% in mathematics, and we had gone over 10% for our economically disadvantaged students and our Hispanic students in mathematics as well. And we maintained our progress at 80% proficiency in reading. And so it was really great to see that we were able to not only maintain, but also make progress across subgroups, decrease discipline across subgroups, and overall bring our chronic absenteeism down. And that was something that was really important for us. We had a lot of wins in a lot of areas, and really proud of the work that the team did across the school year. It was not easy work. It was hard work. It required us to think about change in a different way, allowed us to have opportunities to approach our work in different ways. And we're seeing that happen. And now that we start from this year, I just ran some numbers again. looking at where our chronic absenteeism is between this year and last year. At this time last year, we were just at around 20%. This year, we're under 10%. And so kids are coming to school. They are energized to be here. If I look at other data, when I asked the kids last year to do the thank you cards, we got a few dozen. This year, that banner is down a hallway. And it is great to see. And it's that buy-in of kids wanting to do X and doing Y. And for them to recognize one another on a different scale is amazing. And so we're really seeing it come out in all areas. And our student attendance is much improved this year. So is student discipline. I'm looking at our students' performance on math assessments from the beginning of the year to now on their common assessments, and we're seeing those scores increase. And so we know our teachers are having the impact that they want to have on our kids. Our students are having the impact that they want to have on their own education. And we as a school are making more progress this year. And so we're excited to see what the end of the year brings, but we know that we're on that journey for success this year.
Folks, I'd say that's proof. All right, that's some really great information. Eric, I'm curious. Now, you're in a school district. Are some other schools maybe around you like, hey, what's Sandburg doing over there? They're doing some pretty cool stuff. You getting any kind of reactions maybe outside your building?
We're a very collaborative district, and so there are definitely things that we have shared with others, and we have also partaked in that sharing from others, and brought things to our school from other places here in Fairfax County, but also we've shared some things with our colleagues. And so one of the things I remember last year that we were talking about was rebranding and telling our story. And I remember our high school principals group had come together and working with Jason had an opportunity to talk to them about what that journey was like for Sandburg and walk them through. This is how we asked the questions. This is how we got the data working with the Renaissance team. And this is the outcome and where we saw this translate into actual data, but an actual story that we were starting to tell for our students and what it is that we wanted to see and where we were headed and how that really brought things together under one cohesive focus. We were able to do that. We shared our MTSS Tier 1 story of how some of the things that we were doing and how we had changed, how we were reinforcing and recognizing and rewarding our students, how that had positive impacts on Tier 1 behaviors that we saw in school, what we saw in attendance, and what we were seeing as academic outcomes. And so we have had that opportunity to share, but we've also had that opportunity to learn from others. And so it has been a great journey, but it is not just us alone. It is us with our community of schools, whether that is in our West Potomac pyramid or across middle schools or across the division. We've had that opportunity to collaborate and share and celebrate the great successes and put those pieces together because it really is a recipe and every school is different. And we're going to take things from different places, put it together, put our own stamp on it, make it our own, and see how it works in our building.
All right, Eric, final question. This has been a great conversation. I love what you guys are doing down there, which is awesome. I'm going to assume we've got somebody checking this out thinking, yeah, our school is still struggling. Boy, what Sandburg's doing, that boy, imagine if we could do something like that. And so some advice, if you would, just getting started. And I'm thinking a lot of folks will think, oh, we want to do all these things. That's probably not the best strategy right there. And you're kind of laughing a little bit. If you were starting over, maybe at a different place or a different building or different, town or something like that, and you wanted to get started with Renaissance ideas right from the get-go, give some brief advice how to get things started. Here's how to get this off the ground. What do you think?
So anyone who knows me knows that I'm an all-in person. So that's why I was chuckling because I go all in with everything that I do. But when I think about the work and the journey that we were on, it was really important. Those first 6 months being principal here in the middle of the year was a unique opportunity for me to sit in a different perspective and really learn and think about what is it that the school's already doing that's great? Where does that fit in with this formula? What do we want to continue? Where are we headed? And what does it mean to be here at our school? And that was the most important question. And that was probably where, if I was going to ask, give anyone advice, start with that question. What does it mean to be blank? So whether if you're the Knights, if you are the Warriors, if you are the Wolves, what does it mean to be that at your school? And because that's going to really help guide some of the work, because that's part of the story that you're going to tell as a leader, as a school, your students are going to tell, have that be something that's unifying. And so when we got to see all of the results and the input from our community, our staff, and our students, that is something that was really important for us. It was very widespread. How do we bring that together, but also send the message that we want X for our building? So starting with that Panthers in Pursuit was really important, because when we launched the year with Panthers in Pursuit, we were then able to think about the intentional steps of what it is that we wanted to see. So I looked at things that we were already doing. We were already recognizing students each quarter. We were already recognizing staff through the passing of a trophy. And then I asked myself, how do we do that on a larger scale so that we are reaching more people? And that was the next question. Building upon things that you already have in maybe a slightly different way. That was important. I think the biggest change for us was at the end of the year, I said, I want our kids to have an 8th grade promotion, and I want our students to lead it. So there was the goal set for the end of the school year. And what were all the things that we needed to do to get there? So backwards designed it and said, how does Renaissance fit into this? How do we build that student leadership capacity? What is that going to look like? And that was the thing that we wanted to achieve for the year. And we did that. And along the way, we had expanded recognition, we expanded rewards. We thought very uniquely about how to build some additional energy in the building. And all were things that we had done in different components, but maybe not under one unifier. How are we going to get our students to embody this idea of being Panthers in Pursuit? That was new for them last year. It is not new for them this year. So I commonly hear them tell me that they're Panthers in Pursuit. They hear that every day. That is starting to really take to root itself in our community, that we are the Sandburg Panthers in pursuit of excellence. And that takes time. So I would say, start with those intentional steps. Ask yourself that question. What does it mean to be a student at your school? And what are the positive attributes? What are the things that they would want to see changed? What are the things they want to keep? What are the things that they would say, we can let go of this, and why? Some of the questions that we did ask our students, those were important. And then think about 2 or 3 things concretely that you could do that might be a little bit of a structural change, because that's the easier thing to do. And that buy-in will come in naturally. Take your time. And I know anyone who knows me knows that like I said, I'll go all in on something. And this was, yes, I'm going all in, but here's the plan. Here's what we're doing, number 1. Here's what we're doing, number 2. And when we started last school year, we didn't do our first Ren rally until after staff had gone to the Ren rally in the middle of the year. And then we had started that because we had an idea and a frame for it. So if you needed to take that time to think about what does this look like, and you wanted an opportunity, seek out those opportunities and say, hey, we want to bring some staff here to see what is feasible, what do we need to consider? Because sometimes when we don't know, we don't know. So we wanted to go experience that type of an event so that we had a frame of mind to come back to plan and think about logistics. And then how are we infusing student leadership into that so that we weren't going about this blindly and taking a misstep. And so I would say, think again, what is it that you want to see in your school, but think intentionally about what those next steps are. What are things you need as a faculty or as a leadership team when you're launching this? And what experiences do you need to have in order for that to come to fruition when you start including your students and your community in this larger work?
Eric, that's some great advice. I think the one key element toward the end there is a lot of folks are looking for the perfect timing. Just get started. Just start something. It doesn't matter when time of the year. You said you sort of started like in the middle of a year, school year. Perfect. Whatever it takes, just get things rolling. Eric, I tell you what, we really appreciate your time today. Congratulations to Sandburg. You guys are doing some really neat stuff. And I swear I have got to get to Mount Vernon, and if I do, I'm going to come visit you. All right. So
On down to out here at the Berg.
All right, thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Scott.
A big thank you to our guest Eric Underhill for joining us in this episode. Sounds like his school is doing some pretty cool stuff. We hope you got some great ideas and inspiration here. And be sure to listen to the rest of our Renaissance Report series for more insights on education today and how to improve school climate, culture, and morale so that everybody wins, students and adults. Thanks for listening. See you next time.